Hello. Today we're going to talk about progressions of exercises so that we may feel as happy as this fancy skeleton dancing in a cloud of stars, that we should all be this way. So I want to emphasize the importance of treating learning a movement or a movement pattern or an exercise or whatever as a skill that you build instead of just trying to get through it as quickly as possible, not really thinking about it. So I'm a big fan of moving with intention, thinking about what you're doing, and especially if you're doing any kind of rehab, you're working with an autoimmune disease, anything like that, trying to work out with an autoimmune disease, I should say, it's going to be really important that you kind of are approaching exercise with a little bit more intention instead of just trying to treat it like a cardio class where you're like full send, just getting it done. So step one of learning a movement. First, you're going to have to learn what the heck the movement actually is. Let's start with the deadlift, because a deadlift, also called a hip hinge, is actually going to be one of the movements that looks the simplest, but takes you the longest to learn. If you haven't had this experience yet, like, don't worry, you will. So step one is you have to learn what a deadlift actually is. What's the actual movement consist of? Then you're going to learn how it feels to do that movement, doing the deadlift or the hip hinge, right? And then, well, when I'm there walking you through it, then at some point you're probably going to set up for it where it's going to feel super weird. And then you're going to notice how it feels to do it wrong. You might not notice that it's wrong at first, which is why taking form videos and working with me on exercises you have questions on is going to be super, super crucial, because the step after that, you're going to be noticing when it's wrong and then figuring out how you can actually fix it. So this isn't just one of those things where you're going to learn a movement once, you're going to do it perfectly, you're never going to mess up. That is crazy talk. It's never going to happen. But you are going to go through this progression of learning the movement, figuring out how it feels when you do it right, then figuring out like, oh, okay, something feels wrong here. I don't know what to do. And then you're going to get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm doing it wrong and I know what to do. I need to adjust this thing so that it is right. And then you know the movement. This whole continuum, this process is a part of learning realistically everything, but especially different exercises. And this takes a lot of time. So please be patient, because the harder the movement, the longer it generally takes to learn. But there are things that you can do to shorten that process. Most important thing is to practice this more than once. So doing your workouts and practicing the movements during your workouts and doing those really consistently. That's going to be the biggest thing that's going to help. Other great thing, especially if you aren't seeing me that often, since you're in the group class, you're probably not going to see me that often. So taking form videos and sending them to me so that I can help you to figure out if there's anything you need to change and adjust. Because we don't want to be practicing the wrong thing, because practice makes perfect if the practice is done perfectly. So taking those form videos and sending them to me so I can help you so that you spend more time practicing the movement, doing it really, really well. You might also have to watch those how-to videos more than one time. You might have to jog your memory. And after you've got a few workouts under your belt, you're like, you know what? I feel like I could dial in on this a little bit more, really make sure I'm doing it right. Maybe you can watch it again. Because as with all things, repetition is your friend. I can't think of one single thing that I've done once and then done perfectly. So please don't expect that you're going to have that experience with exercise, because spoiler, that's not going to happen. Lastly, please ask for help. This is what I'm here for. If I don't know that you need help, I can't help you. So if you're struggling with an exercise, if you have a question about like some way that you can modify if you don't have the right equipment, or you're doing something like traveling, please ask me, please let me know, because I would love to help you problem solve that. And as ever, I'll be seeing you soon. Have a good one.